students, and you just went into there and what was the thought process going on in your mind, and where you are seeing yourself after that?
Okay, so you see, I completed my BTech in mechanical engineering from IIEST Shivpur, which under MHR this site, if you will go, comes under the list of NITs, right? So I got into that college to JEE Mains. I appeared for my board and JEE Mains in the year 2015. So straight out of college, I gave my interview at IIT Delhi. It was a 3 round of interview and a written exam. So you see, I like mechanical engineering during my undergraduate days. So my next motive in my career was to understand it more in a more deeper way. So I appeared for my post graduation at IIT Delhi, but due to Corona pandemic and everything, as you all will be knowing that everything went into an online mode. So higher education is something which I think you cannot do it in such a proper manner. And also I got a chance here at IIT still, so that's why I decided to, if possible, let's postpone my PG journey for now, join the industry, see how things work there, and later, if the future permits, then again get back to education. So that was the main motive behind me getting out of IIT Delhi. So yeah, that is all I think.
Yeah, that's a very practical thought of you. You just, you're so confident that कि you can do it twice. So it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of practice to get once in any of the IITs. So good luck to you. And we also want to know that when you are in eighth or ninth, because here most of the students are studying in eighth, ninth, seventh. What was your mindset back then, and how you started your studies, and what basically we want to know that how you made your journey till here until now.
Okay, so all the young guys who are right now in the meeting and who are the future of our country. So the first and foremost thing which you should understand is that there is a difference between learning and scoring marks in examination, right? And both are completely opposite. Means if one is North Pole, then another will be South Pole. For example, suppose that ABC is a student, right? He is in class 9. So his teacher has given him certain notes, just as it normally happens in your school and coaching and tuitions everywhere. So what ABC is doing, he is attending the tuitions, coming back home, opening the notes, and starting to memorize it. Right? He is good in memorization. He is memorizing the whole thing, going to the examination the next day, writing the memorized notes. He is getting good marks. Now, the main thing that you should understand here is that has ABC learned anything? What he has written in the exam, will it be going to help him next few years down the line? So the answer which you will certainly get is no. Right. And this is something which every student understands, but they don't work upon it. So what should be the correct way of learning the things? Right. Now, what I used to do, or which majority of means educationists have also told, that you have suppose you have a one-page note with you. So what you do at first, you go back to your home and rapidly read that one page of note. Right? Just read it. I'm not here telling you to understand or memorize or anything. Just read it. Understand what's there in that particular page. Right? Now, once you have rapidly read it, now two things will happen. One thing is that you will understand what is there, and second thing that will happen is that you will understand what are the important things that you should take away from that. Okay. After that, what you try to do, you try to understand the things. Don't memorize it, because rote memorization is not going to help in the long run. Because once you understand the things, you can write whatever is written in this note in your own words. So it saves you from two pain. One pain is of rote memorization, which is of course bad, and many of us are not good at it also. Many of us do it forcefully. And the second thing is that it will help you in the long run. So let's summarize what you have to do. Take the note, rapid, rapidly read it once, understand contents there, then try to understand or what is written in that note. And after that, you memorize the things and then you write it in the examination. So this is the proper way in which you should study. And I think that it has helped me, of course, and I hope that it will also help all of you in the long run. So that will be all.
Very well said. That learning is important instead of scoring marks. Uh, on this note, I just wanted to know the role of teachers in this, because all the students, all the child want to be successful. They tend to work hard, but most of them are not given the privilege of having a good teacher who can make them understand the difference between mugging up and scoring marks on the other side, and on and learning the concepts and apply those in real life. So according to you, what is the role of teacher, and how can they make them understand? Because here with us we have a lot of teachers, also trainers of LCMBT. So what would be your suggestion to them?
Okay. So you see that what is the role of a teacher? A teacher is a sort of mentor, right? And I must say that I have been lucky enough to get good teachers throughout my career. So one important quality which I learned from them is that a good teacher will always tell you what you should not do. Now this is a very important thing, right? What you should not do. Because if your teacher will not tell you what you should not do, then a student will spend his entire resource, and for student the most important resource is time. He will spend his entire time in doing things that he should not do. Right. And a good teacher should always be a one who can relate the theoretical things with something which is happened practically, and always take examples from what is happening in and around so that a student can relate with what is happening or how it can help them in the long run, right? So this is something which a good teacher should always understand. For example, suppose someone is teaching profit and loss, so students should understand that in the future, whenever he's going to buy any appliance or anything, then these are the things which will help him. And when you inculcate this habit within a student and make him realize that yes, that this is something which will be useful for me in the future, with the help of which I can make a better world for everyone, the student will naturally tend to understand or show some interest toward the subject which has been taught. So yeah, this is something which I think a good teacher should always maintain.
Right, right, very well said. Also, a lot of queries were coming to me that, sir, after 8th when we are going to class 9th, or after 10th when we are shifting to class 11th, so which board should I choose? If either we should go for ICSC or CBSC, and someone wanted to shift their board from state board to CBSC or ICSC. So according to you, does the board matters in longer run?
Okay. See, this is an interesting question, but to put it in one way, I will say that no, the board doesn't matter, right? Because a student, if he is good, he will do well from whichever board or from whichever background he's coming from, right? It is not always that someone who is privileged always does well in the examination, or someone who is underprivileged is not able to do so. Similar is for the boards also. People tend to think that CBSC, ICSC board students are better, but I would say that no, it is not like that. I have studied from IST Shibpur, which is in West Bengal. So many of my friends were from West Bengal State Board, and many of them were better than the students who are coming from CBSC and ICSC. So I think in the long run, the board doesn't matter.
And also, we wanted to know the role of English language, because a lot of students are there who face very difficulty, in asking their queries just because they are not very fluent in English. So, what will be your suggestion to them?
Okay, see, I think that if you are not very comfortable in English and if your teacher is conversant in the language in which you are more conversant, then you can directly tell your teacher that, sir or ma'am, I'm not good in this language, so I am asking my doubt, and you can express your doubt in your regional dialect. But see, English, I'm not saying that if you are not knowing English, then you will not be able to do good or anything like that. I'm not going to that discussion at all. But the English is something which you should have a good knowledge about. Because you see, whenever you, because now what happens now, suppose you are going to any IIT for higher education, you may be working in pan India manner, right? You are not that you will you will come to work in your native place only. You may have to move here and there for your work. So English is something which, if you know, if you have a intermediate knowledge also, then it will help you to communicate with people well. But yes, one thing is that English language should never be a barrier in you being successful. Right? There are two different things. Knowing English and working upon that and building connections is one thing. But due to English, you not being able to express your doubts, not able to clear your problems is completely different thing. So I think English should not be a barrier or should not act as a barrier for being up for a person being successful.
Right, right. And in this, according to you, what is the role of trainers or teachers? You know, for example, at the first time when they tend to observe that the child is not good in English, that's why he's not able to put up his doubt. So, how, according to you, how should they motivate them to that it's okay, you can ask your doubt in your regional language as well, but in the future you need to improve your English skills. So how do they do that? Because when we were kids back then in school. So personally, I also face a lot of challenge in this, and with me there were a lot of friends who had a lot of doubts, but simply didn't clear their concept because of this English issues. So how do motivate their children?
Okay, so see, a teacher is someone who provides constructive criticism, right? Criticism is something which we all know. Okay, it is very easy to criticize someone, but constructive criticism is something different, right? It is a way of criticizing someone, but in a way that someone doesn't feel bad but gets motivated. So suppose a student is not able to tell his doubt in English. So the teacher should not be like that. You don't know English, learn English, ask your doubt in English. No, you explain the student then and there his doubt in whatever language he's asking you, but also give him a hint that see, everyone will not be so much you see compatible with him, right? So he should have that, he should understand that yes, although my needs are being completed here, but it will not be always in the long run. So a teacher should also motivate someone to speak English and other stuffs, but he should also not criticize someone to such an extent that a student does not open up in front of anyone, right? And as long as speaking English is concerned, so it is nothing related to you being good in writing or you being good in grammar. You will become good once you practice again and again and again, right? So try to build up a culture between you and your close friends who will not judge you, and try to speak in English with them, right? In this way, form a small circle of 4 5 friends. Try to talk with each other in English whenever you meet. If someone is not able to do it, help him, go together, and in this way I think you can improve your English speaking skills.
Right, right, right. Uh, Another question is, Soham, you must be aware about the decision of government to, just promote the student of 10th and hold the examination of 12th. Because of obvious reason, the country is in pandemic and all. But as a student, how should one take this decision? Should they be happy and, just start preparing to, enjoy the leave they have got? Or should they what should they do? How should they take this decision in their life?
Okay, so let me come first to the class 12 students. So the class 12 students should understand that the exam has been postponed and not cancelled. So somewhere along the line, they have to appear for the examination. And once you leave studying, right, then it is very difficult to go back to the previous mode when you were studying continuously, right? So for the class 12 students, I would say that you continue your studies. Yes, you can suppose today you are studying 10 hours per day. You can reduce it to 6 or 5, but always remain in touch with your subjects. Don't lose touch with your subjects. Then what will happen? You will find it difficult to again return back and continue your preparation, right? Because somewhere along the line, 2 months, 3 months later, you have to appear for your examination. And as far as the class 12 students whose exam has been cancelled, see, your exam has been cancelled, but the learnings that are there in your class 10 will help you in class 11 and 12 also, right? For example, I am a science student, so let me tell you, in class 10 you will study electricity and magnetism, right? And the same electricity and magnetism you will also study in class 12. So if your basics of class 10 is not good, you will find it difficult in class 12. And when you will be in class 12, no one will teach you what you have already learned in class 10. So whichever stream you are planning to take after class 10, okay, try to learn the subject. Suppose you are planning to take science stream. So learn the mathematics, physics, chemistry, whichever is there in class 10 in a good manner. Okay. Not for the sake of examination, but for the sake of your self-improvement and so that you don't have any problem in the future. Because it is generally seen that whatever you can study in class 9 again comes back in class 11, but with a more advanced form. And the same is for class 10. Whatever you study in class 10 comes for your class 12 also. So this is something I think the class 10 and class 12 students should tackle with. Thank you.
Right, right. Apart from this, Soham, I'm getting queries, personal queries from the students that, sir, we still didn't understand the difference between mugging up and learning. So can you, just take up a concept and try to explain it to all the students, all the participants here?
Okay, so see, let's take an interesting example. Now suppose you are doing mathematics, right? And there is something and you have need to learn the area formula of a square and of a circle, right? So you may learn that, you mug up that, but suppose in the future you also need to apply it once again in some form in which it is not the main form. Suppose, for example, you have come your home and you need to plaster something which is in the shape of a square, right? And the plumber or whoever is there, he is telling you that this is the rate in which I will take money. Suppose he tells that I will take charge 2 rupees for painting 1 meter square of this area. Now, if you don't know the formula how to find the area of a square, then how will you understand how much money you need to give it to the plumber? Suppose the area of the square which you need to paint is 10 meters square. And if you are not able to find out that area that it is 10 meters square, okay, and the actual cost that you have to pay to the plumber is 20 rupees, and the plumber is asking for 40 rupees. So that is a type of cheating, right? You will be cheated there. So this is how, okay, that you are learning something in your book, okay, you learn that and you forget it. But few years down the line, 4 years, 5 years down the line, that elementary knowledge of area of a square is helping you to correct something in your house. So this is something which you should understand, that whatever is there in the book will help you practically in the long run, right? For example, let's take another example. Suppose you are going to the market to buy some pens, right? So there also you need to use elementary mathematics to find out how much money you have to give it to the shopkeeper. So all these learnings which you are learning from the book are also eligible in the real life problems. So this is what I meant by learning and memorizing. If you are memorizing the things, you will not be able to apply that into real life problems. And then you will face problems in the real world, right? So I hope I have made it clear, but if then
Yes.
also some of your problem, then you can raise it.
Right. So I request to all the participants if they have any doubts or any question to ask to Soham sir, just put it in the chat box and I'll just read it up to him. So moving forward, the next question is, what is the right way to make notes? When we are in class 8th or class 9th, we tend to write down all the information which are there in books in our notes book notebook also. So so we at that point of time, we don't know that what is the real concept that we need to jot down, and what we just like you said, what not to do. So how do we differentiate in that? What is the correct way to make notes from 9 to 12, especially for 10th and 12th student?
Okay, so for 10th and 12th student, what I would say that whenever you are studying for an examination, making notes, okay, first you should be clear about what is there in the syllabus, right? You study what is there in the syllabus only, because standard books there will be many things which are not there in a class 10 or 12 syllabus, right? So first you should be clear regarding the syllabus from which you should make the notes. Second thing is that your previous year problems will also help you to understand which area is important and which is not. Try to download or arrange last 10 years question paper of your class 10 boards or your class 12 boards, and try to see which question has been asked again and again, which question is of how much marks, how to write those in your examination. So with the help of your syllabus and with the help of your previous year questions, I think you will be quite efficient enough in making notes. And see, notes is something is not a one day job, right? For example, suppose you're studying for an examination, you have to prepare notes in a single day. No, note is something which you will continue to add on in the future. Suppose you make notes today, and 1 month down the line you're solving a problem and you find that yes, there is an interesting concept here which can be asked in the examination. So you will then again update your notes. Okay, so don't run behind perfection in making your notes, that once I have started studying, I will make this note, and after that I will only refer to this note, not to any books. No, note is something which you will be making 1 year, 1 day early from the examination also. It does goes on to adding. So what you do, the proper way to make notes is to make note in an A4 sheet, right? Don't, or a spiral binding copy. Don't make notes in that hardbound copies, because in hardbound copies what happens, you cannot insert pages in between, right? And what, suppose you are making a note in A4 sheet, you make certain notes, okay, and after if you want to expand it notes, you can expand it by adding more sheets there, but this you cannot do with your hardbound copies. So the proper way of making notes is to make notes in either use A4 sheets, and you put those A4 sheets in a file and name the subject on top of that file, or you make notes in spiral notebooks, right? Because you can add pages in there. And making notes is something which is a continuous process which you do 1 day before the examination also. So yes, so this is the correct way of making notes. First, you should be clear about the syllabus. Second, you should be take 10 years previous year question booklets. And third, the notes should be made in A4 sheets or spiral binded sheets so that you can add on to that later. Okay, that will be it. Shivam, are you there?
Yes, yes, sir. So I was on mute. So Pranjal was just raising his hand. I request him to drop his question in chat box so that I can put it up to Soham sir. And regarding notes, so sir had explained a lot of things. Uh, I would request all the trainers to suggest the same to the students, because in 8, 9, this is very tender age. They don't know about the importance of it. So once you explain that, they may try to implement this in their real life. Uh, Moving forward, sir, according to you, what is the definition of success? Because for most of us, for the science stream students, the success is to get into IIT college, and after that get a good placement and have a settled life. But interestingly, you did something. Most of us won't do that. So kindly enlighten us about your definition of success.
Okay, so see that the definition of success varies from person to person, right? So suppose I have any particular definition of success, someone else will have something other. So you should always see that whether you are channelizing your energy towards reaching your goal. Okay, set a particular goal. Okay, work towards it. Okay, and after you achieve that goal, don't stop right and right there only. Right, try to modify your goals. You have entered into an IIT or NIT. Let that be your short-term goal. After you have entered, what should be the next plan of action? So like that, you should always proceed, right? There is not any particular definition of success. For me, it is something else. For someone, it may be something else. So the person who, I don't know who have asked this, but I will tell you that take motivation for others, but always set your goals that is appropriate for you. Don't get motivated for someone else. If they have done it right, it doesn't mean that that is right for you also, right? So always make your goals seeing what you want to achieve in your life, right? If you want to work for your country, become IAS, become engineer, service officer, go into ISRO, institutions like BARC and others. If you want to be an entrepreneur, work towards it. So definition should vary. And another thing which I want to tell all of you that yes, money is an important factor. You need money to sustain a good life, but any decision taken solely on the basis of money is always wrong. I tell you that. Don't think that he has made a lot of money following this path, so I should also go towards that path. No, right? Uh, a definite amount of money is important for living a healthy life, but don't make that only your sole motivational force for achieving something, right? Try to do something which you want to do because you have only one life. Okay, live the life in your way. Take motivation from others, but don't try to become that I want to become like him or I want to become like him. Everyone have their imperfections. No one is perfect in this world. So set your goals according to what you think is good for you. 30 years down the line when you will be, or 40 years down the line when you will be somewhere, you should not regret that this is one thing which I wanted to pursue but I didn't pursue. I followed the masses and went to pursue that. So yes, I think definition of success is something which is a variable thing. Okay, try to do something which makes you comfortable, which doesn't make you regret 30 years down the line in your career, and don't take any decision with money as the sole motivator. So these are the three things that you should always keep in mind before setting your goals, and try to work upon what you want to achieve. So I think that will be it.
Very well said, sir. Very well said. Uh, Having a right reason and setting the goal accordingly is the key. And success definition of success is different for different people. We don't have to compare ourselves to other and try to achieve the same thing walking on the same path. Our paths are different to our goals. uh, very well said. Moving forward, sir, as our country is going through a lot with COVID pandemic, and it's increasing day by day, having a huge impact on our economy and all parts of society. So, you will like to suggest to all the participants and by this channel to all the viewers who will be seeing that how should they cooperate with the government and work? How can they work for the country by remaining at home and by using proper mask and sanitizer? So, what will be your suggestion to them?
Okay, so you see that the current pandemic, which has happened, it is quite an unfortunate event, but it is not something we can do anything about. But the minimum thing that we can do is that take care of ourselves and take care of your loved ones, right? If you are having any symptoms or anything, try to isolate yourself. Whenever you are going out, always wear a mask, right? Always wear mask before eating something. Always sanitize your hands. Now these two things, when you listen, these two things seem to be a very natural thing, right? But let me tell you, I have seen many educated people also not follow these stuffs. Now, if every one of you will take care of himself and his dear ones, and every one of us will follow this basic requirement of not going out, and even if going out in case of emergency, always wearing a mask and using sanitizers, then I don't think that this pandemic will able to sustain in for a very long run. Okay, so the majority of things that is happening is due to our being we being not very perfectly following the guidelines, being careless and other stuff. So the minimum thing that you can do is stay in your home. Whenever go outside, take proper precautions and try not to go outside much, right? Because you many of you may have this habit of going for morning walk, evening walks. Don't do it right now, okay? Try to stop it. I understand it has become a habit. It is a good habit, but don't let this habit make life difficult for you. Okay. So stay home as much as possible and always wear mask whenever you are going outside.
Nice.
Okay, that will
Uh,
be.
yeah. Okay, so I'm sorry, we'll definitely follow all these guidelines. So I request all the participants, if you have any question to ask, please write down in chat box. And we are having Soham with us for another 5 minutes. So if anyone has any question, kindly write down in chat box. So one question is there. So in age 20 to 25, it is something desperate. Some go for learning and some go for earning. Why these boundaries are coming of learning plus earning is coming on the way?
Okay, see, if you have some financial problem, if you are not able to means go for higher education in these years, then of course you can go for earning, right? But if you have the opportunity to learn something, right, and financial problem is not something which is restricting you from achieving this, then I would say that it is better to improve your skills and learn something. Because you see, in this pandemic, what has happened? Many companies are not making profits. Many people are getting laid off. So earning is a major problem right now. Okay, and also this pandemic, as we have seen, is going on for nearly, it has been nearly more than 1 year, right? So you can go for higher education, learn something, and then when this pandemic gets over, you can start to earn. See, and I will tell you one thing, that if you are clear in your goals in what you need to do, and if you are good at it, then of course you will get a chance to earn. It is not that you are good but you are not getting a chance to earn. What happens is that many students go to learn, and side by side they tend to find opportunities to start earning. I'm not saying that it is a bad thing, right? But you should not have your legs in two boats together. Then what happens, will not be able to do anything well. So always focus in one thing, right? And try to achieve that. If you want to earn, spend all your resources towards finding an employment. If you are have that ability to, or I would say that you don't have that barrier that you cannot study even more, okay, then you make a correct decision in what you should do. Either you should go for higher education, or you should start earning. Okay, making a clear goal is something which always helps, right? Because understand one thing, that indecision is for the weak. Okay, you not able to take a decision, you will blame someone. But at the end of the day, this is your life. You have to stand by your choices. You have to make your decision, right? And always understand that whatever choice you make, that choices have their own consequences. So always think what will be the good or bad of a particular decision, and always try to take calculated risks. So this is what I would like to tell to the person who asked this stuff. Thank you.
Nice. Well said, sir. I hope his doubt is clear. And last point I would like to emphasize on that we all need to, have accountable of our choices, of our decisions, and we need to take the calculated risk. Uh, this point is very good. So apart from this, there is one more question: why everyone decide that the age of 25 is the age of settlement? So again,
Okay, see, this is not something which has been decided. Okay, so this is something which a society decides, right? And you are not a society, you are one amongst the society. If you want to impress everyone, then you go and become an ice cream seller, right? Because no one has problem from an ice cream seller. He's giving everyone ice cream, so everyone is happy with ice cream. So don't come into this technical line if you want to please everyone. Whatever decision you take, someone will criticize you always. right? Because I know certain people. For example, the current head of department of mechanical engineering at IIT Kanpur, his name is Professor Samir Kandekar. He went to do his masters at the age of 27. He completed his masters at the age of 29, and he completed his PhD at the age of 34. And currently, at the age of 46, he's the HOD of IIT Kanpur Mechanical Engineering Department. He was there in a well-paid job. He left it at the age of 27. You are telling of me about the age of 25, right? And he went on to pursue these things and see where he is right now. So I don't think that there is any particular age for settlement. You do what you like, okay? Because you will always, your age will always go on increasing, it will never decrease, right? So that what I've always said. Set your goals, try to achieve something, and you what you do, you try to channelize your energy in that direction, right? And regarding convincing of parents, see, if you if you have shown this confidence towards your parents that yes, you have that capability and if you can achieve that, right, your parents will never criticize you. The parents are the people who will always be right by your side till the very end, right? So parents will always understand, but you have to grow that confidence within them, and that confidence will come to you when you are yourself confident enough. But yes, another thing is that the risk that you should take, I'm again telling it again and again, that should always be a calculated risk. If you are somewhere well settled, if you can, you see, you are there to achieve something good, you are achieving something well, then when whichever decision you take, always take it in a calculated manner. Don't take some abrupt decisions. Okay. But yes, as long as convincing our parents, I don't think that will be a much of a problem. You can do it quite easily. But for that, you have to grow confidence within themselves. And the first step for that, towards achieving that, is to gain confidence, gain self confidence, I would say. Thank you.
Yes, the key point is to have a self confidence and make other confident about us that okay, that we are making this decision and this is completely mine and I'll do it. So another question is from Anushka ma'am. So how can a student avoid distraction during online mode of studying as education is completely online as of now, but it comes with too many cons. Students complain that they often get distracted during classes. How can they overcome that?
Okay, see, it is a nice question. So, scientific study says that our brain can only retain concentration for at maximum 25 minutes, right? So, what I would suggest teachers also to do it is that suppose you are taking a 2 hour session, then don't continuously teach the student for 2 hours, because somewhere down the line he will get bored, he will get distracted. Whatever you are teaching will not enter his mind. So, what I would suggest to teachers also and to students who are studying on their own, first and foremost thing is that whenever you are studying, you try to not, okay, as much you can study in your laptops, okay, even if you are studying in your mobile, try to restrict use of WhatsApp. Okay, do not use WhatsApp. You make sure that yes, I am going to study 25 minutes straight, and after that take 5 minutes break, and in that 5 minutes don't think about what you have studied earlier. Okay, you can, in that time you can check WhatsApp, you can check Facebook, or I will say better you go out, listen a 5 minute song, talk to your mother or your dear ones, and again come back to your table and study. So this is known as a Pomodoro technique, right? 25 minutes study, 5 minutes break, 25 minutes study, 5 minutes break, and again 25 minutes study, then 15 minutes break. And you repeat this cycle again and again and again. So this is something which teachers should also emphasize, that don't teach a student continuously for 2 hours. Give them short breaks of 5 minutes in which they can go out and refresh their minds. And yes, you see, usage of WhatsApp and Facebook, no teacher, no mentor can tell you how to reduce these uses if you don't have self control within yourself. These uses of these apps can only be restricted with I will say, self control. But other than that, regarding maintaining your focus and maintaining your concentration, I would say that this 25 minutes of study, 5 minutes break works. Generally works. I've seen, I myself also practice this. And yes, I have found fruitful results from it. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Uh, Next question is again that why we are bounded by society's rules and regulation. If this happens, some of us get depressed, and how can we beat this depression kind of thing?
Okay, see, society is a very fickle thing, right? Suppose you are not achieving something today. The person who are foul mouthing you, the same person, if you achieve something tomorrow, will come to your house and will ask you to feed him some sweets and etc. So society is something which doesn't care about your well-being. So don't think about your society or anything, what he will think, what she will think. My friend is in job, currently he is earning. Don't think about all those stuff, right? Think about what your parents think, what your family members think. But at the end of the day, these are the only people that matter. And whenever you take any decisions, always try to take these decisions keeping in your mind your parents, right? Because what this does, this also help you from taking any bad decisions. And also don't get depressed. Depression is something which is a silent killer. And whenever you feel any depression or anything, reach out to people whom you can confide with, talk with them, okay, and make yourself comfortable, okay, because tough times don't last every time, but tough people do. Okay, so you should understand these basic things because it is a time will always pass, but don't take any action which will hurt your parents or which will hurt your parents' sentiment. So whenever you take any decision, always keep your parents in your mind, and this will always help you in taking a right decision and check to that you don't do anything bad. So don't think about society in general, think about you, your loved ones, and take decisions accordingly.
Right. So next question is very interesting one. So what is important in between marks or skills?
You see, skills are always important, and there is nothing means it is not a type of debate. Also, skills is the foremost thing. If you have skills, you will get good marks. If you have skills, you will always be able to take jobs and other things. To always look for skill improvement. Okay, marks will never help in the long run, but skills will do. Yes, of course, maintaining a standard marks is of course necessary because that looks good in your CV. But don't make scoring marks as a sole motive. If you are scoring marks, you may get a job now, but you will not be able to sustain there. So skills is the primary most important thing. If you have skills, naturally everything else will fall into place. Thank you.
Right. I would like to add this that marks are important. Just get yourself shortlisted, but not selected. You will be selected based on your skills. So marks is also important because there are different criteria that more than 70% or more than 80%, and in some colleges 99.99 percentile is also important. So to get to reach there to get admission in that college, obviously you need to score marks, but to sustain there and to get the job you need to develop the skills, right? uh, One more question is there: what to choose after graduation, masters or job?
Okay. See, this is something which depends on your personal preference. If you think that you want to go deep into what you have already studied in your undergraduate, you can go for masters. But if you think that you want to understand what are the things with nuances that are going in the industry, go for job. Okay, because yes, both of them require special effort to get. Both of them are not easy to get. So this decision is something which you should already have taken during your undergraduate days and try to channelize your energy in that direction. But yes, once you have decided something, go for it. Don't stop at it. Okay. So this is something which I would like to say. It depends upon the personal preference. Nothing is, for example, sure short what you should do, what you should not do. It varies from person to person, just like the definition of success.
Right, right. Very well said. And I think there are no more question in chat box. If anyone has any question, kindly write down in chat box. So we are going to close this session. It was very warm talk with you, and you just enlighten us about lot of things. So we are very inspired by you and by your thought process, by your, the way you conveyed your message to the students through teachers, and the noble thought behind, all the work that you do. So thanks a lot, Soham sir, and thanks a lot to all the participants, teacher, and the
Okay,
students.
thank you everyone. Thank you LCMPT for providing me with this opportunity, and all the best to our young brigades. Okay, try to take your decision solely depending on you, and take care of yourself, your loved ones, and always wear mask when you are going outside, and try to avoid going outside as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks a lot, sir.